Hey guys, it's Helena coming back to you with another vlog. This one's gonna be a little more open-ended. I had this experience the other night that I wanted to share with you guys. I was walking to dinner, it was like 7 o'clock, and I saw this cafe and it just looked so cute. It had this rounded sitting area where it was like all windows and you could just kind of like peer out into the street and like observe the city. So I decided to go in. I was like on my way to dinner, but I just totally changed my plans that instant. I was like, this cafe, I don't know if I'll walk by it again. So I went in, ordered a cup of tea. I had my book of Argentinian poetry with me, and I sat down and I began to read and just sip tea. And I had no idea why I was in this cafe. I just I just felt like I needed to go in the cafe. It's almost called to me. As crazy as that sounds. And as I was sitting down, I was there for like an hour, and I had stopped reading the poetry, and I always carry my journal with me, and I had started to write. And now, mind you, this is in Madrid, so it's all in Spanish. And someone sitting next to me, all of a sudden, like, they sat down and they glanced over at me and they were like, "Oh, are you reading Argentinian poetry in Spanish?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading Jorge Luis Borges right now." And they're like, "Oh, that's so cool." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I'm from Argentina." And I was like, "Oh my god, no way." And so I grabbed my chair. I wasn't even invited, and I just sat down with this person and her friend. And yeah, and I don't know, we just started talking. And I talked with these two individuals for over 2 hours in a random cafe from like 8 p.m. to 10:30, maybe even more than 2 hours. And it was the most surreal experience. It started off that we were just talking about the poets in the book, and she was recommending me which ones to read. And then we got into, okay, well, like, Argentina sounds so cool. Well, like, where's all this poetry coming from? And she got into, oh, well, Buenos Aires. And I was like, oh, so that's a good place to go for a poet. And she's like, yeah, and they have theater, and it's just like so free, and there's so much art. And I was like, I want to go. And somehow we got on to just human connection and like poetry and the importance of art, and like me being an American, her and her friend, which was he was a native from Madrid, they wanted to know my opinion on a lot of things. And like it was so amazing, first of all because they were absolute strangers, and they were both easily 30 years older than me. But what was more amazing than just like our age was like the language too. Like, they were so patient with me with my Spanish, and it like wasn't even a barrier, like, because I'm able to communicate. I'm not fluent, but I'm able to communicate. And um yeah, it was crazy. Like, she knew some English, so she would like, it was kind of like Spanglish. Like, when she couldn't describe something, she would use like a little bit of English. And I don't know, it was just crazy. And it just makes you realize that there's always opportunity for connection. Like, this happens to me a lot because I never am on my phone. Like, whenever I go somewhere, I have my journal, and I'll write in that. And I'm an available person. Like, I'm never closed off. Like, I'm always energetically open to conversation. And I don't know, I just, these people were too, and amazing things happened. And so I just want to encourage all of you to be open to spontaneous moments, like not knowing why, but just feeling drawn. Like, me just deciding to sit in this cafe, and I decided to bring my poetry book with me. And yeah, I felt so welcomed to Madrid. They ended up, after we had talked for 2 hours, they put it as, oh, our transcendental talk, because we just talked about like that like connection between human beings is more important than like physically developing technology in the world and like our capabilities. It's more of like, okay, but why are we here? And like the intent in art and like why that's so important to preserve art and culture was like the main theme of our discussion. And afterwards, after the 2 hours, as I was getting up to go finally eat dinner at like 10:30, and so were um, they ended up paying for my drink, and I'd had some tea, and I don't know, it was just like a little gesture, but it was so touching, and I was like, oh no no, you don't need to do that, and they're like, no, welcome to our city, like thank you so much for this discussion, like it gives us hope for everything, just that people are good and people treat people well. Thanks, guys.